What is new, though, is what we're about to talk about. And finally, the United States Championship, the midcard women's championship, has arrived. It fits these three wrestlers, actually. Of course, BFAB, Candice LeRae, and, of course, Bayley. But a lot of things to discuss out of this. But just first off, your overall reaction. The Office listened, and it is here. Here we go.
It's about time. I think that was one thing we've talked about, and I've said this numerous times. Maybe we played a very teeny tiny small part in actually getting this to move forward in the internet wrestling community, and obviously WWE heard this. Getting a mid-card championship for the women. Because it felt like this is a deep women's division, especially NXT. It's like stupid deep. There's so many. They're doing the Iron Survivor thing now, and I just look at the list. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. But in general, there's so many talented women in this company. And it feels like if you don't have a story for the main title, and this goes for the tag champs too, you may be on the show, but it doesn't really feel as important. Like, how do we kind of get some more, girls on the show and make it count and mean something? And that's what it was, a building block. For the men's side with the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. title, from their perspective, it was that gap in between. Okay, they're ready for this responsibility. Maybe not the top spot yet, or maybe they've been to the top spot. We don't really have anything for them now. What makes sense for them to still feel like they're getting an important spot on the card while they can build up other talent around them that are maybe even lesser, or they're just trying to work their way up, or they're young, whatever it is. Look at Braun Breaker, that kind of guy. We know he's going to be a main eventer, but this is a nice stopgap for him. Get that title, get some experience, face some main event level talent, so you can be ready for that spot when the time comes.
Well, again, this is the beauty of Triple H and Power, right? Because think about Triple H's building block back in the late 90s. It was his feud with The Rock, Intercontinental Championship. All right, the main event scene's a little bit crowded right now.
God, can you imagine if Vince was still... we're going to get rid of the women's title. Show me your tits. Like, that's probably what it would have been like.
Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes from now, I'll tell you exactly what Vince would have done. He would have introduced this championship. I do believe he would have introduced this, but I'll tell you in 2 minutes exactly what Vince would have done. And you will hate it. And many of you will hate it, too.
I hate it. I haven't heard it yet.
2 minutes from now, I'll tell you. My reaction overall, though, this is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I think it's different because, you have the women's tag team championships. We're at a good place, though, where teams are not just being thrown together. But the result of that, though, is because teams are not thrown together, you are right. There are talented women on the main roster. We're not even talking about NXT when those call-ups are on their way.
Good God.
But there are a ton.
People are going to, a lot of the girls on the main roster are going to get released.
But
because there's so many.
Well, but you know what? Maybe not as many, because this championship is here now. So there is a second thing to fight for, and it is good. We see too many times, talented women not have anything to fight for, and just you're trying to carve out TV time. It just hasn't happened. I think Bayley's the perfect example here. Bayley is somebody who obviously has credentials. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame. They talked about it on the show. But it seemed like for much of 2024, especially after she lost the women's championship opportunities, she hasn't had really anything to do.
Yeah.
And for somebody with the star power that Bayley has, that's unacceptable.
No, yeah, this gives her a new challenge, a new opportunity, and it also puts her kind of in a role. I know she was always compared to John Cena when she was in the hugger phase because it was the fan-friendly, never turned heel, all that stuff. She obviously went that way. But this is a chance for an open challenge every week. You can call girls up from NXT for a week and almost kind of give them like a tryout. Are you really ready for the main roster? Okay, work with Bayley, work with Bianca Belair, work with some of these girls that have been there for a while and been multiple-time champions, have had that kind of experience. I would be surprised if it went to somebody who hasn't been a women's champion, just from the standpoint of, again, you want that real person to kind of set the standard for it. Kind of like when Seth Rollins was made the World Heavyweight Champion through that tournament. Mm-hmm. It's like you want someone to really set the tone for a new title. Mm-hmm. In this case, fuck the phone. In this case, it was actually a new championship.
Right.
I mean, World Heavyweight title was around before. This is brand new. So that first champion is going to be really important. Some would argue maybe you do put a younger superstar in there because you want to be able to like make them essentially.
Mm.
But someone like Tiffany Stratton, her story is not with this; it's more with Nia.